Good day, emerging mothers. I am slipping into our private Facebook group room to talk about a topic that I have found myself interacting with a number of you about, and especially here over the last 4.5 or 5 weeks. And that discussion topic has to do with the tears on transition day. And I know those tears all so well because it's the day, of course, that you take your teen to the college campus and you're dropping your teen off and then you're leaving. And during that time, a number of emotions, a plethora of feelings can overwhelm you. And so that's what I want to talk to you about on today. I want to start by telling each and every one of you, because I know we're in the season right now of high school graduations, and I'm just seeing it all on Facebook, and I'm being sent, of course, pictures and videos and all of that, because of course prom has wrapped up, and those commencements, even my daughter's high school, she's just a freshman going to her sophomore year, but that commencement is, of course, this Saturday. And so I know it's happening, of course, all over the world. But first and foremost, when we talk about those tears that take place on transition day, know that you mothers are not alone. Despite the stable and secure demeanor of many, despite the front that a number of mothers may display, I mean, there are tears even within them that occur behind closed doors, and maybe sitting on the sand at a beach, or sitting in the parking lot of the grocery store before they go in to purchase groceries. Of course, less groceries because one less person is no longer living in the home. So I want you to a number of mothers, they may say, that, I cannot wait for my teen to leave. And guess what? That's awesome and amazing for them. However, for some of us, of course, who have jumped in with both feet and have embraced all of the dynamics of parenthood, motherhood, of course, for some of us, it's just slightly different for us. So know that there are other mothers like yourselves who are experiencing these emotions, and sometimes these emotions can become overwhelming. Some mothers, while they're laying in bed and drifting off to sleep, some tears may be falling. Or like me, and many of you know my story, came home, drove the 17 hours back from Virginia Tech, myself and my hubby, and found myself that next day on my prayer closet floor wailing, thinking, what in the world have I just done? Leaving my daughter on a college campus all the way on the East Coast, and here it is, we're here in Texas, and she's all the way over there without a set of eyes on her, of course parental eyes, because we're back here. So know that, number one, again, you're not alone. And then secondly, this is what I want you to know as well before I jump into some tips in reference to preparing and all of those different types of thoughts. Know that you are experiencing a period of grief. Some people may think grief just has to do with maybe someone passing away, or maybe a separation in reference to a divorce happening, or things along those lines. Away with that idea. This is grief as well. And guess what? This grief can linger. Sometimes for days, sometimes for months, and then even sometimes for years. And guess what? That is okay. That is okay, because guess what? There is a life-changing event that's happening in your life. And it's interesting because, we've been parents for about 17, 18 years, and we're still parents. But in reference to this closeness, what happens typically on transition day is just like, and it's a funny tug of war, if you will, because I think back to when my daughter would she'd want to pull away from me and maybe go and chase a ball and run out into the street, or something along those lines, and I may hold her back just for safety purposes. And so, you know what, that same behavior, that same thought, as it pertains to our emotions, even happens today, even 16, 17, 18 years later. Whereas for a safety perspective, we just think that holding on, and it's just more comfortable to hold on. But now needing to release them, it's just a whole new feeling, whereas it's something that we've raised them to do, but by the same token, there's still that string that still exists between us and our children, and their separation and their estrangement from us. And so, you know what, these feelings come back. So I want you to know that although, just like you were ecstatic about, our teens being accepted into college and then them even focusing and pursuing their dreams, however, for some of us, it could be a bit challenging, and it could encourage and allow tears to drop, because of course our role is shifting from that of a caretaker, of course, to then that of a coach. And so that's going to be definitely different for a number of us. And then also, I want you to know that you are experiencing this for the first time with that particular teen, because of course and this can happen whether you have one child or multiple children going off. If you have one child, of course it's going to hit differently, because this is your first time this has ever happened. But even if you're on your third child going off onto the college campus and transition out of the home, even with this third child, it can hit differently, because each child is unique in their own way, and there's probably something that you're missing about this teen. For your first teen, it could have been, their personality and their liveliness that they brought to the home. And the second one could be their mild, gentle, meek, and soft demeanor, and their helpfulness and all. So it hits differently. So know that, of course, you are experiencing each transition for the first time, because of course this is a particular teen, and it could feel slightly different. So know those things as this transition date is quickly approaching. And you know what, there were all these years before this day have come, and here it is. It seems like it has arrived so quickly. So but I just applaud each and every one of you for remaining encouraged, remaining inspired, and holding on, and just making sure that you are embracing and you are enjoying every minute of it as much as you possibly can. So let me tell you this, the tears, I started off talking about just the title of my talk, and why a number of parents, just why tears fall on this transition day for a number of parents. And I know for me, tears just fell on that day, even while I was on the campus. I mentioned when I got back home, when I arrived back home the next day, what happened there. But while I was on the college campus, I'm just believing that those tears fell, because that day solidified for me the change that was about to occur regarding the plans I previously had with my teens. I knew that things were changing, and that the time was behind us, in reference to the girls' night outs we used to have, or the pickup and the drop-offs at their basketball practices or trainings, and talking with the other parents on the bleachers. And I knew, and that day solidified that it was behind me now. Those times when, my daughters and I would set the table for our family dinners in the evening after I would arrive home from work, or they would arrive home after school. That transition day solidified for me just the end of running assignments up to the school that may have been left home and that my daughters may have forgotten, and leaving that at the front office. That transition day solidified for me that, you know, as far as their high school honors programs that we would attend, or the school performances that we would be so excited and proud to partake in, that those days were behind us, and those were over. All of the parent-teacher conferences and the interacting with the high school teachers and hearing the pleasant thoughts from the principals that were shared with us about our teens, all of those days were over. And so, of course, you know, we mourn that. I know my husband did. I know especially I did, knowing that, you know, just that day just put a lot of things behind us. And so that, for one, is what, and I even almost choke up right now just thinking about just how much fun those days were, and how much they're missed. And so also that transition day, of course, solidified for me just the change in the relationship. And this is, I can see already, this is going to be a vulnerable recording that I'm giving, because it just helps me to reflect back on just the relationship that, although it's changed today and it's for the better, just what we had back then. And I just want to just be open and honest with you all, so that you will just know that, again, you're not alone. And for those parents of us who have experienced it, know that it still like sits right back in the back of our head, because we, of course, we enjoyed those earlier days so much. So secondly, what it does is it solidifies for me the change in the relationship that we shared. So not only the plans that we had and the events we attended and the people we knew back then, number one, that I just covered. Secondly, the relationship that we shared and the way we interacted, and we're now moving, as I mentioned earlier, into that coaching, really, and that consultant type of role. And that those interactions, although we won't interact, the interactions are different now. I mean, still lovingly and all of that, but by the same token, it's a little more distant. It's a little bit estranged in a sense, because of course our teens have a way of just feeling their way out and beginning to spread their wings, and there are maybe other mentors in their lives now. They have employers who are now they're in touch with, and then their friends will draw closer, and all of those different things happen. And so the relationship and the interactions are still there, but it's in a different kind of way, especially if you have a teen who has moved out of state for employment purposes. And so, you know, just knowing that, you know, that there's some distance between us now in reference to physical difference, you know, by there being this separation in a sense, then there's an awareness, an unawareness, if you will, regarding, you know, me from time to time knowing just the feelings and the emotions of our children, you know, if regarding life's issues and regarding life's matters. And I know that at some point, you know, that my daughters will experience a hurt, or they will experience being sad, or they will experience feelings of isolation or being left out. out that I may never know anything about that. And so, you know, and if I'm unaware, you know, then I'm unable to comfort. There will be situations in life that our teens, you know, if when your teen transitions off on a college campus, that, you know, they may be scared in a situation and they're unable to reach you. And so just knowing that those are situations and circumstances that now, because they no longer live in our homes, that we may be unprivy to, and there may be, you know, this inability to comfort them. And you know what? Guess what? I think I just made up a word, unprivy. I think I just made that up. So that's why those tears come on transition day, because that whole change and that whole shift takes place. And so then it's more so that when it comes to our teens, that it's almost like we're taking some, although it's not on purpose, it's almost like we're gradually moving further and further away, because again, there's that unawareness. And so with that being said, we'll want to prepare for mothers. As mothers, we'll want to prepare as that time approaches. And so one thing I will say is that in your preparation stage, know that adjustments will need to be made somewhere in that those latter stages of their high school years, in order for you after the transition to begin planning how you'd like to reinvent yourself. Listen, I said a mouthful there. I'll say that again. If we're thinking about preparing for this transition day, and a number of you, again, you're in the midst of graduation right now, you will want to, before that day even arrives, you will want to, of course, know the adjustments and the tweaks that need to be made prior to that transition day, so that after that transition day occurs, you will already know how you want to go about reinventing yourself. And so what I did and am still doing is reinventing myself before it's just hubby and I, right here in the house with us alone, before this last one transitions out in another 3 years. So know that, okay? Also, secondly, in the process of preparing, you'll want to make a schedule so that you're able to interact with them on a regular basis. That's going to be so important to you and to them, so that you can look forward to these calls and remaining connected and making sure that it's already in print, inked in the calendar, and then that will give you all something to look forward to, just so you can be updated and know what's going on with each other's lives. It will be impactful. I just the other day, yesterday as a matter of fact, my daughter texted me and said, listen, I'm looking to make a big purchase next year, and so I need your help. We need to like crunch some numbers together and see what this whole thing looks like. And that just totally warmed my heart, to know that there's still a need for me in her life, which just so excites me. That so excites me. And so I am going to wholeheartedly, we already have a time that we're going to sit down and talk about that, and make sure that that goal also can become a reality. So know that you'll want to set a schedule, whereas you will, of course, you'll be talking back and forth possibly throughout the week, but at the least once a week. That will be a sure sign of your remaining closely connected and in their lives. And then also, listen, as you're preparing, know already within yourself what it would sound like if your teen is struggling after they transition out of the home. talk about, words that you're hearing from them in reference to them being disengaged or not motivated, feelings of not belonging and wanting to transfer, all of those different types of verbiages. I'd want to know and be connected with them regarding that, just so that you're in tune with their process or the lack of. So I'd include that in my preparation, so that as you are working on yourself, then also you're still connected over here, and you're available and ready to help. If in fact that team needs your help, still we want to make sure that we're totally available for them. And then I totally want you to know this. I want you emerging mothers to know, as you are preparing for this transition, for them to relocate themselves out of the home, know that you did your best with what you had within the time you've been given. Know that. I want all of you all to just speak that out loud, that I did my best with what I had within the time I've been given. And when you say that, guess what? It releases you of a lot of guilt. I've gone to the Lord and just prayed, saying, God, I just thank you for just giving me these daughters and allowing them to just impact my life. And I just pray that I impacted theirs as well. And I just glorify your holy name, that you have blessed me with them as a gift. And so I'm handing them back over to you, and know that you will protect them and you will help them to soar and excel and reach their highest levels and glorify you in the process. And so listen, when mine started transition out of the home, you're talking about just going deeper in prayer and connecting with him even more, and just knowing and trusting and depending on him, and setting my affections on the things up above and not on the things on this earth. I just love the Apostle Paul stroking that letter to the church in Colossus, when there was some things going on in the church there, when I read that �ＢIBLE in Colossians 3:2. And so you're talking about just being able to go to the Lord in prayer. Like, I have 3 daughters, and my 3 heartbeats are 2 are outside of the home and really on their home. 1 is outside of the home. 1 still is, she has 1 foot out and 1 foot in, because there's still some schooling that she's pursuing, and then 1 is still here. But these 3 heartbeats, if you've never prayed before, I'm telling you, when you have children, you will begin to go to the Lord in prayer, especially if you want the absolute best for them. So no, I'm just speaking this from the depths of my spirit. Just know that you've done the best you could with what you had within the time you've been given, and just listen, be guilt-free. This whole private Facebook group is guilt-free, judgment-free. I mean, we're just like, I'm vulnerable today, just so you all will just because this is a sensitive topic for me when it comes to our children, that you are not alone. And I trust and believe that you all did the best you could to your fullest capacity to raise these amazing teens that you have. And so be encouraged in that, be inspired in that. So know, yes, that you did the best that you could. And then also, listen, pat yourself on the back for what you've done, because this is no easy feat at all, not at all. And then guess what? I would encourage you to know that patience is needed. And when I speak about patience that's needed, there could be maybe just a little quarreling going on over here, or there could be some intense interactions going on over here prior to them transitioning. And you know why? Because guess what? Our teens are in 2 different places. And so I would just allow a double dose of grace, they're wanting to be independent, and so they're moving forward this direction towards that college campus, but yet they're still dependent. And so can you even imagine the discombobulation that they could be feeling during this stage, wanting to be independent but can't be just yet, and so not even knowing how to interact or ways to interact in this big change that's going on. And guess what? There's a fear in them as well. Listen, they may stunt as though they're perfectly fine and okay, but there's something going on inside of them because they're about to experience something that they've never experienced before. You both are encountering this newness, and so in the process, be patient and sprinkle a little more grace on the matter, and just allow there to be just mercy shown in your interactions with your teen, and just take a couple of steps back, from time to time, and choose the debates wisely that you have with them. And know that as you gravitate towards that transition day, because guess what? Some of your teens, they're getting ready to go off on the college campus even before the summer starts. I know mine did. Mine went early because she took, she graduated magna cum laude of her high school. So did she need to go early? Probably not, but she wanted to get a feel of the college campus before the actual classes started, which I thought was wise, as opposed to her landing on the college campus and trying to figure things out. Where's everything at? And oh my goodness, I don't have any friends, and what am I going to do? And what clubs am I going to become involved in? And as opposed to all of those questions, when she arrived with everyone else in the fall, she went early at the beginning of the summer. And guess what? By the time the fall rolled around, she already had a group of friends. She already had a clique with some other girls who had gone to, and I don't know if it was Hokie camp. It was something that, Hokie orientation, something that happened before, of course, the fall. Whereas she already had a clique of friends. Number one, she already knew the campus. Number three, she already knew where she wanted to live. She already knew where, of course, off-campus events and, grocery store. She was already familiar with all of those things. So when fall started, it was like, oh my goodness, it was just a matter of honing in and starting with those classes. And so all I am saying is that I want us to know that during this time, whether you're taking them now before the summer or later in the fall, that the micromanaging of the event may be a little unhelpful. So I would allow them, I would just kind of gravitate behind my teen and just allow them to maybe begin taking the lead on things such as that. Because guess what? It's their life. They have to live on that campus. They have to live in that dorm. They have to meet friends. And so, you know what? Even when it comes to introducing them to other people, and I'm a mother. So, and I want my daughters to be okay. So I would love to begin introducing them, and I don't want my daughters to be alone. I want them to have friends immediate. Listen, by taking her to the Hokie camp at Virginia Tech, she took care of all of that. Praise God. Praise God. So there was no need for me to micromanage any of that, because we dropped her off. I think we stayed one extra day than we should have. And I'm just confessing. And then she was able to manage all of that. Also, know that sharing heartfelt thoughts before leaving them on the campus is okay, so that they will know that you'll miss them. And be sure, please, to remain available thereafter. What I know for sure is that for those parents, as the date gets closer, and you may be experiencing maybe those intense interactions with your teens, there's a survey that was given to students across about 14,500 colleges. And the survey came back and shared that 3 of 5 students admitted that their relationship between themselves and their parents improved since they started college. And 1/4 of those surveys said that their relationship with their parent or parents was much better. And so just allow that to just sit on that thought for just a bit. That for many relationships, there could actually be an improvement. Will the relationship change? Absolutely. Will we still grieve them, as you see from it? I could hardly even talk about this topic. It just still. And guess what? My daughter left in 2016. And then the other in 2018. And then the third will leave in 2025. And so, as mothers, I still get choked up thinking about that transition that took place in 2016. These are like our like babies. They'll always be our babies. Does it help the relationship? This survey says yes. So just rest in that and feel comforted in that even when those intense moments occur and happen, which they will, there can be improvement. That distance can allow an improvement in that relationship. So that's something that we'll just continue to work on and we'll just continue to look forward to. And I'm just so excited that, there's always that next day, God willing, for us to just continue to work on those relationships that are changing. That's what keeps us working on them, is that they're evolving. I mean, like we have these whole we're going to have these whole young adults. Many of you, I already do, and that's why I'd like to pull you all along and just let you all know what I'm experiencing and what's happening in my life, just in case you face it. You'll say, aha, that's what Dr. Lloyd was talking about. You'll be able to relate. I can relate to where you all are going. And so if there are any questions at all, just let me know. You can continue to DM me. I welcome it. You all are my parent posse and I'm yours. And so, yep, that's what we'll do. We'll just stay connected. Listen, I'm praying for you all. I love you. And, it's just so exciting because I'll get some DMs saying, listen, can I share this video with my family member or my friend? And listen, yes, you may. The answer is yes, you may. I just want to help just as many people as possible because I want others to know that there are some of us who can relate to them. So please feel free. Again, I love you all. I appreciate you. I'll remain engaged and we'll be in touch. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy your weekend and we'll talk soon. Bye.